The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast. With us today, we have Cory. He's the founder of the Mega Team Builder Mastery Coaching and leader of a top-ranked real estate team in Southern California. Blake coached thousands of agents, giving them an exact blueprint to successfully build and leverage a high-performance real estate team. The exact tools and systems Blake used to build his mega team of 60-plus agents in the last 6 years. Now, this blueprint is coming right on your door on the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Welcome to the show, Blake.
What's up, Tomasz? How you doing, man?
Doing fine. And I have to admit, I love the guitars and the vinyls on your back. I'll probably be looking more to them than to your face, but I'll try to put my focus on you. Okay, Blake?
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, my wife and I just moved into our new home, and I've been redesigning this office space. And I was like, okay, if I could have anything I want, what would it be? And it's like, oh, I have to get albums. And so now, I've been slowly collecting albums. My wife even bought me, I don't know if you can see, it's behind me that way, that one right there. And that's a signed Aerosmith album. I don't want to miss a thing. That's our wedding song. And then she had it custom framed with our photo. So now all this is becoming guitars and vinyls. It's just something, music is a passion for me. Music is a way of even meditating for me. So in this room, away from the office, quiet, well, my kind of quiet, which is jamming out, working on the business. It just brings me a lot of peace. So yeah, and people always get a kick out of it on Zoom. They're like, is that like a background? I'm like, nope. Slowly you'll see. You're going to see them all over the place, as many as I can get my hands on.
All right. That's amazing. That's amazing. We'll make sure I put some edit on I don't want to miss a thing on the background right now. I think that would be good. But yeah, let's play some of our music, like here. And this is all obviously talking about you and celebrating your success. So first, let's talk it out about your real estate journey. So how did you get started? Tell the audience a bit more about yourself. We already know you're a music fan. Further than that.
So it's funny because normally when I meet people, they'll look at my age and they'll go, okay, how long have you been in real estate? 5, 6, 7 years. No, I'm 35 now. Yeah, 35. After the second kid, you start forgetting how old you actually are. You got to remember, but yeah, I'm 35 now. And this is my 16th year in real estate. I've actually been a real estate agent licensed since I was 19 years old. So the journey really started when I was 17. Dropped out of high school. Traditional schooling was not for me. I had more fun at home reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, reading Dean Graziosi, buying and flipping houses and land trusts and all this kind of stuff. I fell in love with business and entrepreneurship at a really young age. I was that kid trying to sell candy bars and working over here. But at 17, I was ditching school to go and work because I loved it. And I, hated being told by, the schooling system, the traditional schooling system, what I had to learn, right? So 17, ended up leaving, got my GED. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's pretty much an equivalency test. I took the equivalency test, said, yes, I should be good to graduate. They said, yes. And off I went. And then ended up just going out into the workforce, getting some odd end jobs. And my last W-2 real professional job. And when I say professional job, I mean actually working for somebody else other than myself. I was a Starbucks barista. And I was 18 years old. And when I was working, it was 18 and 19. And when I was working there was a guy who used to come down and get his morning coffee every morning. We shoot, we'd talk, we'd go back and forth. I knew his order. And one day he goes, hey man, you should really think about getting into real estate. right? Because anyone who can talk should get into real estate. They just think they're great networkers, but we know that's not even close to the case anymore now that I'm 16 years into this. But, I'm like, really? So, I go in the back room, start looking up on my phone. I'm like, real estate agents. I'm like, oh man, I see the big houses and I see the fancy cars and I see all the good fun stuff, and at the time, to be real, I saw the girls that came along with it. I was like, I'm going to become a real estate agent, right? I'm going to become a real estate agent. This looks fun. And I don't even need a degree. So I go through the process. I get my test date. I get my license, 19 years old, and I go and just join a real estate brokerage close to my house. And when I walked in, because of my age and inexperience, they're like, you really need to join a team. And I say that a team because it was far from anything from a team, but it was a couple top producers, and they said, join their team. So I go and join their team, and I get connected with cold calling, door knocking, doing open houses. I was doing open houses on all of their listings. I did some showing assistant work for them. But after a year, I really didn't see any traction at all. I sold like 1 or 2 houses in a year. I was working my tail off, 7 days a week. And it just wasn't working for me. So I start to look at other avenues, and I ended up moving to a different real estate brokerage where they promised me a little bit more help and support. And it was total blessing because how everything worked and transpired in real estate is kind of funny, but go there. And then what ends up happening, we watch the '08 crash, so because this 2006, so like from end of 2006 to end of 2007, it wasn't working. I get the new brokerage in the '08, and I'm watching all this stuff start to happen. And this is not only, it was news to me, but my broker who'd been in the business now for 30 some odd years, he'd never seen anything like this. Banks were closing up, things were happening. I remember I took the first short sale listing in the office. A guy came up, and it was weird because I went to my broker. I'm like, something's wrong. Like I think the house is worth less than what they owe it. And I had to figure that whole process out. But that was 2008. And in that brokerage, they let me to an investor who was buying and flipping houses, and ended up sending him a couple of my listings. Ended up buying them. And then I was like the third or fourth house, I started to see what he was doing and how he was doing it, who he was working with. Tony Robbins will call that modeling, right? You start to look at what, highly successful people are doing, and you start to, I would say copy, but yeah, you're modeling what they're doing to be successful. And then from there, they passed up on a house. I'm like, I think this house is worth it. I think I can get at a good deal. I know what they're doing with this short sale flipping now. Let's do it. So I ended up moving forward with it. And when I was 20, and this is now 21, I think, I ended up doing this deal, and I made $75,000 on pretty much a paper flip. I flipped paper. I, pre-negotiated short sale, got a low price, found a buyer, put the whole thing together, made 75 grand. And that day changed my life. That day, and there were a lot of other trials and tribulations along that way, but we're just going to try and stick to the quickest story with the biggest impact I possibly can. Yeah. And that day changed my life. That was one of the days this year. A bunch of stuff had happened personally with my family. My parents were about to lose their house. And then from there, I ended up getting a blessing where I started to figure out how to make money, and modeling was the key. And so then I began to go forward and start to buy and flip short sales, leaving the real estate industry in the sense of helping people traditionally buy and sell houses. And I did that for 7 years after that. Did it through 5 states and kind of stumbled upon success. What I mean by that is I started doing it, but I didn't continue to have coaches and people guiding me and accountants and CPAs and different things like that. I just started doing, right? Just started doing like most entrepreneurs. But then 2013, 14 happened. And by that time, the market had shifted in a sense of hedge funds are in there. They're buying up houses. They're going to the courthouse steps. I couldn't get my hands on anything. And I ended up going broke. I ended up going broke in that period of time and losing everything that I had built. So during that period of time, though, I also, in 2014, had a child. And so the March, April timeframe of 2014 was one of the most humbling experiences. I call this my lowest point and my turning point, all within 30 days. The lowest point, the April 1st of 2014, or I had to hand over, it was April 1st. No, it was February 1st. I had to hand over the keys to my office. I lost it. I couldn't afford it anymore. And it was only $1,400 a month. So I had to turn it over. I had to borrow money. I had to go rent a small house because I have a newborn coming. And I had to actually go back to my parents. Here I am 27 years old. And I'm like, I really need to borrow money. Now, mind you, just 2-3 years earlier, I was lending them money, right? I had beautiful cars, houses, and I lost everything. And I had to go borrow money to rent a small house. I'm now alone. I'm about to become a single dad. And in March 16th, my daughter was born, my first child. And the February 1st ordeal of losing everything was a humbling experience. The March 16th experience of having my first child lit a fire in me that still has not stopped. Like I worked hard before, but I never worked as hard as when I have my children relying upon me. And it wasn't just relying upon me to survive. It was relying upon me to thrive and teach them that there's a different way to creating a life on this earth. It's not just what the government tells you to do. You have the ability and the power to do whatever you want to do, no matter where you come from. It's not where you come from, it's where you're going. And so since that day, everything changed. Obviously, I couldn't flip houses anymore. I had to go back into traditional real estate. I said, I'm going to go into sales and I'm going to find me a coach who's going to help me point the way. So I found my first coach, worked with him 7-8 months, wasn't patient enough because that coach, his highest year was right under $1 million. And he gave me a lot of great foundational stuff, but very highly, like a lot of sales skills. Then I went and met Craig Proctor. That experience changed my life dramatically. One of the top real estate coaches in the country, 2015. And I started to learn about a team. I never even heard of a real estate team before that. To me, it was a real estate agent or real estate brokers. Then there's this thing called the real estate team. And I started coaching with Craig. And a year later, in 2016, I became a coach for Craig because all of a sudden the velocity of my business jumped up dramatically. And so in 2016, I think I sold like 38 houses. And then from there, continued to coach for Craig and work on building my business. And then in 2020, left Craig because in 2018, I met a man who drastically changed my life, looking at the perspective of a real estate business. Because 2018, I said, I want to do something more than just sell a few hundred homes a year. I want to go big. I want to understand the game. So I went and took the Wall Street Journal list of the top 10 real estate teams in the country. I just started calling down lists. And I finally found a man who number 9 in the country, Mike Gerbic at that time, ran a team called Select Homes out of Wichita, Kansas. And I went and found him online. Social media just started hitting him up. We started communicating. And he's been an advisor of mine ever since, worked right alongside him. And this man that sold over 2,000 homes a year. And I was like, I want to learn exactly what you do and how you think and how you did stuff. And so, I mean, even to this day, here we are 4 years later, he's still right beside me. I still talk to him, quite often about the business, not as much as I did back in 18 and 19, but still looking at that advisory role to help my business grow, help me grow as a person. And in 2020, ended up leaving Craig. And in 2019 started selling about 151 houses a year. And I knew I wanted to take that next jump. I needed to get focused for a period of time. So it went from 151 in 2019 to 300 houses in 2020. Last year, 2021, sold 554. So as you can imagine, those were big jumps, almost doubling my business 2 years in a row. Giant, massive jumps. But I had spent the last 2 years building a strong core leadership team and who now really run the day-to-day of the business. I go in more as a strategist and a consultant. I'm not working on the front lines as much, but I go in from that perspective because now what I get to enjoy doing is help others build their real estate businesses. So it was about 10 months ago, I ended up I was just getting hounded by so many people like, hey, we want to understand your model. How did you go from 151 houses to 550 in 2 years and you don't sell anything? Yeah, I don't sell anything. I haven't sold a house in 3 or 4 years. Easy. How'd you do it? So I ended up creating a mastermind program for real estate entrepreneurs who want to live a mega life. It's not a real estate coaching company. It's a real estate entrepreneurial mastermind that I lead that help people live a mega lifestyle, creating a true business where they can be not be in the day-to-day every single day, but a cash flowing business where they can go and start to invest in others. Because outside of normal, just even masterminds, we get into things like real estate apartment syndication and investing together in those. I mean, I'm partners with some of my some of my students in big time apartments, and we get into gold and silver, we get into crypto, we get into option trading, we get into all kinds of crazy stuff because we're all like-minded, and that's been the most enjoyable thing in my life. But now, to complete that story, we've come full circle, married, soon to have 3 kids, enjoying every single day of life. But the whole aspect there, going down, starting at the top in the sense of making 75,000 in a single transaction, being successful, and then all of a sudden slowly coming down to the bottom. And that day, February 1st, handing the keys, March 16th, baby comes, having to borrow money. And then from there, letting that pain resonate so deep at a core level that it drives me to a different place in my life. And then continuing to grow, model, and then starting to give and contribute back to people. It's been an amazing experience. That's the short answer.
That's the short answer, everyone. Stick around for the long one. No, but that's an amazing story, Blake. And do you find a lot of people resonate with that story? Did you find this is something that had happened to other people that you've spoken along the years?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing that resonates with people is the pain. A lot of people get into this business for one reason or another. Usually, the reasons are they're trying to avoid some type of pain that's happening in their life. Mm-hmm. It's the W-2 job, it's the commuting, it's being away from their kids. They want time freedom, or it's the ability to have financial freedom because somebody else is telling them what their time is worth, right? Working in a job. Or it's individuals coming in because they're seeking pleasure, right? I always find the people avoiding pain do way better than the ones seeking pleasure. But they come in, and then if they make it past the first year, usually I find people that have had some type of pain along the journey. It's whether or not they can get out of their own way, so to speak, to turn that pain into, just rocket fuel to send them to a whole nother level. A lot of times people resonate in the pain and live in that pain and never turn it into the fuel that they need to take their business, but more importantly, their life to the next level.
Yeah. But I always think that it's very important. And I see that you telling your story, and I saw your story also on the website. And I imagine like you're trying to speak with people in a very direct way. It's like, I know you, like I've been there. This is me. This is who I am, and I really like that part of you. But yeah, like going into now the mega team and building a mega team. So you talk about the common mistakes of agents when building a real estate team. And on the podcast, as you can imagine, we already covered a bit of that, but we only spoke about the how to and what it takes to do it. But we did not go over much on the mistakes of it and what we need to avoid. Can you share some of those common mistakes with us?
Absolutely. And by the way, I want to let you guys know we put this into a report, and the link, you can find the link in the description here, but you can go to it, download it. I put it into a guide for people. I can tell you this, probably the single biggest common mistake is patience or lack thereof. Building a business, most people are looking for the immediate, the year to 2 years. And real estate agents themselves, they are not patient. Now, mind you, this is not one of the most common in the 6 most common in the guide, because you guys can download that. You guys can read that. It's all there for you, right? I want to talk about the things that are sometimes really hard to articulate, even when people are reading them. And I want to make an impact on today. So there's 2 things that I wanted to bring here. Number 1 is patience. Guys, you're building a business. If you're building a team, you're building a business. If you don't want the responsibility of building a business, then don't start a team. Just continue to do what you're doing, right? But Robert Kiyosaki is one of my coaches. And one thing I learned a long time ago is that cash flow quadrant. You got to be able to leave the S to get to the B. You got to leave the self-employed, sole proprietor businesses, really you owning a job. To me, that's a real estate agent. And you're going to go build a business on the B side where you're employing people, where you get the majority of the tax breaks, where you get the financial and time freedom. That's where all that happens. But that takes time. Agents, for the most part, are high D or high I personalities, and they have very little business intellect. They're very emotionally driven individuals rather than data driven individuals, right? And so people who analyze data and have built businesses understand that it does take time. You look at Starbucks, 2,000 stores in the first 20 years, and just in their next 5 years, from year 20 to year 25, they quadrupled in size, right? It took them a long time to get to 2,000, and then they quadruple in 5 years. That's the same thing that takes place in a real estate business, right? I didn't go and sell 500 homes in 2 years or 3 years. If I was selling 30 homes, that took time. And if you want to build a sustainable real estate business, you have to have patience, sustainable, consistent, and sustainable growth. Because you go out there, sell a lot of houses, but your foundation is just built on nothing. It can crumble in the snap of a finger. And I've experienced that along the way. Once I began to have patience with my business, once I began to lead with profit, right? I built financial statements around being profitable every step of the way. It's changed my life. As a matter of fact, the stress load has gone extremely down, even though we're not growing by 50 and 100% a year. No, this year we're just trying to grow by 20%. That's it. But I'm much more at peace because I have the patience to allow my people to fail and allow me to coach them and them to get coached to build the most massive real estate business that's there for years, right? Because if you look at the top 10 real estate teams in the country over the last 10 years, you're going to see teams fluctuate in and out of that top 10 list because they get there really fast, but then they come down really fast. And they get there really fast and they come down really fast. But if you take that slow and steady pace there, your business is built on a solid foundation. So that's got to be number one for me. Guys got to have patience with this process. You're building something that's going to spit out millions of dollars a year in cash flow. If it was that easy, everybody'd do it. It's not. It's not that easy. There's problems, but that's a good thing because the profit's in the problems. Profit is in the problems. Always remember that, number one. Number two, you must have a clear vision of what you're working to build over the next 10 years. I just did a workshop at my office, invited some of the mastermind, our newest mastermind members in, and we sat there for 2 days. And these are people that are coming in and they've got successful businesses. They're selling 100, 150, 200 plus homes a year. And this group of people is a very intimate group, but we had people from Canada. We had people from Texas and Florida and Washington and all over the place, fly into the office here in Southern California. And one of the very first topics I talked about was the 10-year vision. Like, explain to me your 10-year vision, your BHAG. What is your big, hairy, audacious goal, as Jim Collins would put it? And none of them could get up and articulate it. Not a single one of them.
Yeah.
And I looked at one of them, and you could just see they're just like, no one's ever asked us that question. I said, how can you ever expect to have people for you to lead people, for people to follow you into the gates of hell sometimes, if you don't have a vision of where you're going and where they're going? Like, people need a shepherd. You have to lead them through. And if you don't know where you're going, how can you expect to bring in the best and most talented people in the world into your business? And I spent a lot of time talking about, you're not building a business, you're building people. You are in the people business. You're building and coaching and developing human beings who are going to in turn build the business for you. But if you can't bring in the best because you have no vision, how can you expect your business to ever grow leaps and bounds? And that's one thing that people have recognized from coming and visiting my office is I've got some of the most amazing people. Now, were they the most amazing in their spot that they sit in now when they first joined? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, almost everybody in the company starts at the bottom. We're talking about people that had really good previous jobs, really good past experience, but I make them start at the bottom to learn the trade. And these are people now have been with me 4, 5, 6 years that I've coached and developed, and now all have coaches themselves for their respected seat on the bus to become the best in the world. And those people, when you invest in them like that and you share a vision of where you're taking this business and what their life could be like on the other side with you, that's how you build loyalty, and that's how you build successful businesses. So the common mistake is entrepreneurs not having a clear and precise vision of where they want to take their business. But that's the difference between the 0.1% of agents selling all the houses and everybody else. They treat it like a job and not a business, and they don't have a clear vision of where they're taking their business. So there's a couple that are very near and dear in my heart right now. The 6 that I put in for every agent who would be able to understand that without watching or listening to this. Those are the 6 common mistakes. The link's below. You can click it there. I think it's 6-mistakes.com or something like that. But look in the description. You guys can go download it. But those 2 right there, you got to hear me, right? You can't just read it. You got to hear me talk more about it. Those are 2 that you can't mess up. You can't mess up. You have to have patience with people, patience with your business growing. The common mistake is that most agents don't have patience. They need to. And the second thing is you have to have a crystal clear vision of where you want to take your business.
Yeah, and we'll have the description that as you said, and yeah, I think it's fair if you're trying to show 6 common mistakes, you only say 2. So if the audience wants to know the other 4, they have to download the report. But yeah, thanks for sharing, and that is close. It has a close affection on you, being the patience, being on the clear vision. And I guess the next question is kind of an expected one, and here people are wondering. So if someone would ask you, what is your vision for the next 10 years? What would you say?
Oh, I can precisely about my business. We'll be the #1 real estate team in the nation within the next 10 years, selling more homes by sales volume than any other team in the country.
All right.
Hands down, without it. On that journey, along that journey, we will create internally in my team over 100 millionaire real estate agents along that way. By the end of this year, we will have created I've created like 6 or 7, and those are local team members. Those are not outside. Those are not in different parts of the country. They're not coaching students. They're agents that go into my office. They're outside sales agents, or OSAs as we call them, working with buyers and working with sellers. And by the end of this year, I'll have created 7 or 8 millionaire agents who have created over $1 million in GCI. So my journey along the way is to create 100 of them. Because if I focus on the development of the people, being the #1 team in the nation will be a very simple accomplishment. So that's natural. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very astute. I don't know if astute is the word. It's a very bold statement to have. Because obviously, first of all, everyone is sort of fighting for that. Maybe they're lacking vision, or maybe they're lacking patience. But in the end, everyone wakes up and they're fighting for that. So, what makes you think that you can be the best? With the real estate team with the highest volume in the next 10 years, if you can put that into an answer.
Yeah, and mind you, if you look at where we're at today and where we need to be at to be that #1 spot, there's some distance there for sure, right? We're talking about teams that are selling 4, 5, 6,000 homes. Those, which to me, I would love to push back and say, so are they real teams? Or are they more traditional brokerages that are calling themselves a team? But that's a story for another day. No, I mean, I look someone straight in the face, say, you may be #1 today, but I'm coming, right? I'm coming.
All right.
Be on the lookout. I'm coming for you. And the reason I say that with so much confidence, and my team will say it with so much conviction and confidence, is simply because we do the right things consistently. We do the right things consistently. And we're building people, not just processes, not just systems, but we're building people, and we take care of our people. So if you look at, I invest heavily into the individuals in my team, and no one is promoted to the team from the outside. You have to work your way in to management and leadership positions. You're not brought in and then given people to lead. You've got to earn that right. And my team has started to understand how to handle issues. And that's a big challenge for most teams, how to handle issues, how to actually identify them, discuss them, solve them, and get on a plan of attack to move forward. So, but if you were to say, all right, but you got to break that down. What is the one thing that is going to get you there? I will say it's my people. It's the people that I get the ability to lead every single day. And all of us together are on a journey of growth. And we are lifelong students of this game. And it's going to be an amazing journey over the next 10 years.
Nice. I really love the way you're thinking. And I can't wait. I can wait for the next 10 years to see if you're up there. Well, I know it will be up there.
When I'm up there. Yeah, when I'm up there.
Exactly.
So when I'm up there.
I knew I had to say this. So Blake, you have your Mega Team Builder Intensive virtual event coming up soon, right? Do you wanna tell us about it?
Yeah. So the Mega Builder, the Mega Team Builder Intensive event, what it is, it's a 2-day. They're both half days. It's about 9 to 1 o'clock, but for 4 hours for 2 days, I actually get on and I cover all 6 pillars of what I consider to be a mega real estate team. So what I'm doing is about an hour to 90-minute sessions I pretty much jam pack the most impactful information I can give somebody regarding building a real estate team. So if you look at it, those key areas, number one is lead generation. Like you got to know what's happening in the industry, how the game is changing when it comes to lead gen and how to scale lead gen. You know that, especially being, in the marketing business as well. Like it's changing and it's changing rapidly, but how to scale that with agents. Number one, and lead generation is not just marketing, it's marketing, prospecting merged together. And you got to know how they work cohesively together. So that's number one. Number two, you have to understand the operational side of the business. What is the operating system that you're using to run your business? Then we go into sales. You have to understand systems and how to train your real estate agents on a structure. Then we go into recruiting. Recruiting is key, right? I always say to people who are growing teams, you're in the real estate agent business as much as you're in the home buyer and seller business. It's not a 1 and 2, it's a 1A, 1B situation. Then we got to understand leadership development. Leaders, you're never going to grow your business if you don't have leaders and you don't know how to grow and develop them. And there's a lot that comes along with leadership, especially emotional intelligence and how to be the thermostat of rooms, not be the thermometer, how to build and grow people, all kinds of stuff. And then finally, the money aspect, how to have the perfect income model while you're building and growing your team and understanding, your P&L and what that is actually telling you. So those 6 components together is what I break down over 2 days of both interactive trainings, and we've got live interviews going on. People actually get to meet the individuals that run the departments in my real estate team, all kinds of stuff. So we just jam-packed as much information as we can possibly get into an intensive. And I know how busy real estate agents are. So I'm like, it's delusional to think they're going to go sit for 2 or 3 full 8 to 10 hour days just to, especially over Zoom to soak this in. Yeah, I've got a very short window of time. People need to get back to their lives and their businesses. So we just cram it in 2 days, 4 hours each day. And people have come away just loving it because it's a lot of information you don't hear out there. It's raw. It's the truth. It is what's really going on today. Because any information you hear from 3 years ago, it's out of date. Things have changed. Markets changed. The way business is done has changed. New software has changed. New technology has changed. Things are made easier. That's one of the reasons why you look at some of these old coaching programs now, excuse my friend, they're complete bullshit, right? They're garbage. They're shit from 20 years ago. That's irrelevant. There's still coaching programs out there teaching how to run classified ads. Are you kidding me? Right? And people are spending tens of thousands of dollars on it. It's garbage. For us, what we're trying to do is expose real content, real information for people who really want to grow a real estate business today.
All right, Blake. And how can people then attend the event or even like get in touch with you?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is down below, you'll see, go download the free report, read the report. After you download the report, you'll be taken to a page. You can choose to be taken to a page if you want to learn more about the intensive. And if you want the intensive right there, it's in full honesty, it's $197. Or I'm sorry, it's $97. It's $97 for 2 days. We're not trying to make a ton of money off it. $97, people get to listen to me, and it's me running it. It's not other people. It's me running it for 8 hours. It's pure content. So if you guys get the opportunity, you should, but at least go download the free report. That's where they can start, right down there. And like I said, I sent you all the information on it. Just go download the report from the 6 most common mistakes. And after that, if you guys are interested in the intensive, I will see you there.
All right, Blake. And yeah, we'll make sure to put all that info there so people can see, can get in touch with you, and obviously find out what is the other 4 mistakes that you can say to us.
Those mistakes I give you to make, they're not even in that form. They get 6, not just 4, they get 6 additional mistakes to avoid when growing a team. And then from there, if you're interested, guys, come check out the intensive. I always say this, after day 1, by the way, it's a 200% money back guarantee. If for any reason after day 1, you don't find this valuable, it's not for you, you just let us know. We're not only going to give you money back, we're going to give you 200% of your money back. Not just the $97, but we'll give you whatever it is, 190 whatever dollars is, $196, whatever it is. But we're $194. We're going to give you 200% back. But the reason we do that is because that's how confident I am in the information, right? Yeah. This is information put together by me for aspiring team leaders. We've only ever had 1 person since we've been doing it ask us for the money back. That's just because the person was part-time, never aspired to be a full-time agent. That's why I'm like, please don't come if you're just an agent wanting to sell houses. Please only come if you're someone who wants to kick ass, take names, start a real estate business, right? Like you want to start a business, show up. That's who I want there on those calls. That's who's going to take extreme value out of it.
All right, Blake. And thank you for being that business power here to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Well, I hope you had fun, and yeah, maybe I'll see if I join myself on the event and see you rock the house there. And hope we keep in touch.
Absolutely, man. Hey, you want to come? Let me know. I want to see you there. It's going to be happening here in a couple of weeks. So I'll see you there. All right. And thank you for having me. Hopefully everyone listening, watching, you guys got a ton of value out of today.
Perfect. Thank you, Blake.
Oh, by the way, if you're listening, watching, don't forget, I want to connect with people throughout the real estate industry. Also down below, come follow me. You're going to get a bunch of amazing content. Just so you guys know, I put out fresh coaching content all the time and information on my Facebook page. Come check it out. And thank you, Tomasz, for having me here.
My pleasure, Blake. Thank you.